Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a condition that affects millions of people, yet it's often completely invisible to the outside world. It's called Sjogren syndrome. It's all about the immune system, and it really starts with one kind of unsettling question.
Seriously, just think about that for a second. Imagine your body's own defense force, the very system designed to protect you from germs and viruses, gets its wires crossed. And instead of fighting off invaders, it turns inward and starts attacking your own healthy cells. Well, that's the fundamental idea behind an autoimmune disease, and it is exactly what's happening in Sjogren syndrome. So first up, the unseen attack. Let's dig into where this whole internal battle really begins. And it all starts with the body's own moisture glands. Okay, so at its very core, Sjogren's is a chronic autoimmune condition. Your body's security system, your immune system, makes a huge mistake. It flags your own moisture factories, the glands that produce saliva and tears, as a major threat. And then it launches this all-out assault, causing nonstop inflammation and damage right where you need that moisture the most. This attack leads to these two classic telltale signs. Now, they have some fancy technical names: xerostomia, which is just a severe dry mouth, and keratoconjunctivitis sicca, which means severely dry eyes. But listen, these are not just some minor annoyances. We're talking about a level of dryness that creates a whole cascade of problems. From making it hard to even swallow food, to a constant, gritty, painful feeling in your eyes, and a much higher risk for cavities and other dental issues. But the attack doesn't just stop there, and this is a really, really critical point to understand. Sjogren's is not just about dry eyes and a dry mouth. It's a systemic disease, and that means its effects can literally ripple through your entire body. So, if this thing can affect your whole body, you're probably wondering who's most likely to get it. Well, let's take a look at the demographic and genetic clues to see who is most at risk. One of the most striking things about Sjogren's is this incredible gender disparity. I mean, look at this. The condition overwhelmingly affects women. We're talking a ratio of about 10 women for every one man. That's a huge clue that suggests hormones probably play a pretty big role in who ends up developing the disease. Age is another really key factor here. The diagnosis most often happens when people are between 40 and 60 years old, so it typically shows up right in the middle of a person's busiest, most active years of life. But there isn't one single cause. It's better to think of it like a perfect storm. So a person might have a genetic predisposition that makes them more susceptible. And then some kind of environmental trigger, like the super common Epstein-Barr virus, could be the final spark that ignites that whole misguided immune response. Okay, so how do doctors actually solve this mystery? Because the symptoms can be pretty vague and they overlap with a lot of other conditions. Getting the diagnosis often feels like a real detective story, where doctors have to piece together a bunch of different clues. The investigation is really methodical. It all starts with that key symptom: persistent, nagging dryness for more than 3 months. Then the doctors, they run blood tests. They're basically searching for the fingerprints of the attack, which are these specific autoantibodies. After that, they do objective tests to actually measure the damage, to see how much tear and saliva production has been affected. And sometimes, the final step is a tiny lip biopsy, which gives them visual proof of immune cells hiding out inside the salivary glands. And ultimately, it all comes down to this. Doctors are looking for a clear pattern. If they can confirm at least 2 of these 3 things, the antibodies in the blood, the classic symptoms, or a positive biopsy, then they can confidently close the case and make that diagnosis. So, getting a diagnosis finally provides an answer, which is a huge relief. But it's also the start of a whole new challenge: managing life with a chronic condition. Since there's no cure for Sjogren's right now, the focus shifts completely to controlling symptoms and, just as importantly, preserving quality of life. Treatment usually goes down one of 2 paths. For most people, it's all about managing the day-to-day symptoms with things like artificial tears, saliva substitutes, and just being incredibly careful with dental hygiene. But then there's a smaller group where the disease starts attacking other parts of the body, causing things like severe joint pain or even organ damage. For them, doctors have to step in with stronger immunosuppressive drugs to try and calm the entire system down. But no matter which path someone is on, the goal is always the same: relieve the symptoms, prevent future complications, and really empower the person to take charge with proactive self-care. This almost always requires a whole team. You've got a rheumatologist for the big picture, an eye doctor, a dentist, all working together with the patient right at the center. But what happens when just managing symptoms isn't enough? Now we're going to look beyond the dryness, at the systemic, whole body impact this condition can have. See, because your immune system is everywhere in your body, the attack isn't always contained to just the moisture glands. That same inflammation can pop up in totally different parts of the body, affecting joints, nerves, and yes, even major organs. And one of the most serious complications is a significantly increased risk of developing a type of blood cancer called non-Hodgkin lymphoma. This risk, right here, is precisely why regular, lifelong monitoring is absolutely critical for anyone diagnosed with Sjogren's. That inflammation can also target our vital organs. In the lungs, for example, it can cause something called interstitial lung disease, which leads to a dry cough and shortness of breath. And in the kidneys, it can cause a type of damage known as renal tubular acidosis. And the list of potential effects doesn't stop there. So many people with Sjogren's experience chronic joint pain. Some develop Raynaud's phenomenon. That's where your fingers and toes turn white or blue when they get cold. It can damage nerves, causing pain and numbness. And for pregnant women, certain antibodies can even create risks for the newborn baby. All of this, it really reveals why Sjogren's is so often called an invisible illness. You just can't see the crushing fatigue. You can't see the painful dry eyes or the constant joint pain from the outside. Which really leaves us with one final crucial question. How can we, as a society, get better at recognizing and supporting all the people who are fighting these unseen battles every single day?